Well, thanks so much for setting this up, and thanks for having me. I'm excited. This is my first official training ever for your company. So excited to be here. And so I'm just curious, just to kind of get a feel for the people that are on here tonight. Am I meeting any of you for the first time? I'm just curious to see if this is our first time meeting. Awesome. I see we've got some first timers. Okay, cool. Lots of first timers. Good. I love first timers. So for the benefit of a lot of you that we are meeting for the first time, let's just take a quick moment to talk to you a little bit about this thing that we call Love Serve Grow. So Love Serve Grow it's really a framework and it's a philosophy for how you approach building a business today in the network marketing and social selling space. And so we truly believe that these are the three things that if we can make our business about these things, that it's the key to not only building a business that is financially successful. If that's your only goal, then, you know, quite frankly, you're probably not for our community. And I feel safe saying that because Steffi and I had conversations and I had a chance to look at your company and I see that y'all are about a lot more than just making a buck. And so we believe that this profession is really it's a vehicle to create something more than just money. It's really a vehicle to help deliver personal transformations in people's lives, and so Love Serve Grow is this more purpose driven approach to building a business. And so tonight I'm going to be actually teaching you one of the most actionable and I think one of the most important things that we teach in Love Serve Grow. And it's related directly to how do we in 2023, how do we position ourselves and what we do on social media in a way that, as Stephanie said, so that we can begin to attract the kind of people that we are dreaming will join our team. And it's not that sharing products isn't important. It obviously is important. It's the foundation of business. But I wanted to tonight just take a little bit of a different approach in terms of helping you understand some of the things that you can do differently in your content and conversations to begin to build more value for somebody joining your team. See, most of our clients that come to us in our business, that's the area where they struggle more, right? They've done a pretty good job getting customers and they feel somewhat confident in that area, but then when it comes to building a team and growing a team and leadership, they kind of lack the confidence. And so I want to share with you an important shift that I want to help you make. And this is not just in theory, so this is based off of a lot of the research that's out there today in terms of what consumers are actually looking for and expecting from the companies they do business with. But also, it's based off of a lot of experience teaching this stuff to our clients and our students. And this is actually something, what I'm going to be teaching you tonight, it's something that we are doing in our own business today. And it's really making a difference in the way that we're growing our community. So here's what I'd like to introduce. I want to start off by introducing that we teach there are three different types of content that you can create. There's product based content. And when I say product based, that doesn't just refer to your products, it also refers to your business. So anytime you make a post that is sharing in any way, shape, or form anything about your products or business, that's a product piece of content. The second type of content is what we call problem content. So problem content is different in that it has no specific mention of your products or company, and it's really geared towards trying to help a specific person in a really specific way. See, one of the most important things that we teach people is that if you want to win and you want to stand out on social media today, you have to know who you are selling to. And so I'll get into that as just a concept here momentarily. But the biggest shift that we help our clients make is to learn how to create more problem focused content. And so when we think of that, think of content that solves people's problems in advance. If you can deliver results in advance through your content, that creates a tremendous amount of value. And see, here's the problem. is that product content, it's not that there isn't value and it's not that you shouldn't do it, but it needs to be a much smaller percentage than what a lot of you are doing currently. And so here's the main reason why. Product content is the lowest level of value. And here's why I say that. Because when I look at social media today, and I typically, I'll before I go live on a training, I'll just scroll through Facebook just to validate what I'm going to teach you. And without fail, every time I do it, within 5 minutes, I see 2 or 3 people that are in a company in this space that are basically telling me the exact same thing, which is my products are the best. My company is the best. My compensation plan is the best. Here's the reason why, because we have this ingredient, we do this, we do that. When I look at social selling today, all I see is thousands and thousands of people and businesses essentially telling me the same thing. And so if that's the thing that you're leading with, the problem with it is this, is that triggers people's sales resistance. We have a natural reaction that when we feel like we're being sold, we emotionally shut down. And when it comes to content, we don't pay as much attention anymore. So does that mean that I don't want you to post about your products? No. There's different schools of thought on this, but there are I like to call them the attraction marketing zealots, the people that will, like they'll look at your Facebook profile and they'll be like, or your Instagram profile, and they'll be like, oh, I can't believe you have the name of your company on your social media. You talked about your company. You talked like, do you not understand attraction marketing? Like it needs to be this big secret. Like you can't ever let anybody know what you do. That to me is like the most ridiculous thing in the world. If you believe in what you have to offer people and you're running a business, you share it with people. But the way that you share it needs to change. Now, I'm going to say something right now that is going to be very anti probably what a lot of you have learned and what a lot of you have been taught. And I just want you to stay with me on this for a second, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm going to say this. The biggest mistake that I see people making is that every single time they post something about their products or their business, there's always this call to action that you need to buy now. So we're traditionally taught that we sell. There's always got to be a hard sale anytime we're talking about our business. And that actually did work many years ago, but I'm telling you right now, it doesn't work anymore. And what we teach our clients is this: you don't sell in content. You don't sell in your content. You post about your products, you share your journey, you share stories, experiences. But when it comes to the call to action, you should never say something like, buy now, here's the link, join me, now's the time to join my team. Because the problem with that is this: the second you do that, that piece of content just became less valuable. And the content that you just did that in is now unshareable. Nobody will ever share a piece of content that has a sales pitch in it. And the second you make the sales pitch in the content, you lose trust with your audience. And so what happens is a lot of people's experiences are every single time they come to somebody's social media, they're always getting pitched. They're always making the ask. So here's what we teach. Content creates conversations. Your conversations are actually where you should be doing the majority of your selling. So when we think about the content and we think about a call to action, here's what we teach people to do. If you want to post about your products, great, but have your call to action be, let's continue the conversation. If you're creating content on Instagram, hey, let's continue the conversation in my stories. Send me a DM, leave me a comment. If your call to action is buy, there's going to be such a small amount of people that are ever going to have a reason to engage with your stuff. And so what we teach people is let's shift the selling more to the conversations and let's start creating content that actually engages and resonates more with people. I want to share a quick story with you that's actually that'll help you understand how you start to identify what type of content that you need to create in the area of solving problems. So I'm going to share a quick story about a coaching client of ours. Her name was Lisa. We were on a Zoom, bunch of people. She comes on the Zoom, and Lisa says to me, the problem that she says to me is, she says, Bob, I feel so defeated in my business. I feel so defeated. She said defeated like 3 times in the first couple of seconds. And so I said, okay, Lisa, I said, well, why are you feeling that way? And so here's what she said. She goes, I've been doing this for a year. I haven't recruited a single person that's ever done anything. And I've gotten to the point where I've just kind of given up. I'm not even sharing my business with people anymore. And so I bet you this is something that a lot of you can probably relate to. A lot of, like, an alarming amount of people that I talk to today are not even having business conversations anymore, which I think is it is the greatest tragedy, because this year, if you've ever had business conversations, this is the year that you need to be having them, because there are so many people in the world today that are open and looking, and there's so much uncertainty. And so if you've ever had them, this is the year to have them, but you do have to have them in a different way. See, you're not having them anymore because the things that you used to talk about, people weren't interested in. See, we need to learn how to shift our conversations, and I'm going to teach you how to do that right now. But so I said to Lisa, I said, okay, well, Lisa, let me ask you a question. I said, forget about your results for a second. I said, talk to me about you. She said, what do you mean? I go, well, so are you the same person today that you were a year ago? She said, absolutely not. I said, well, okay, so how are you different? And so she was in a health and wellness company as well. And in a couple of seconds, she rattles off, I've lost weight, I have more energy, more confidence, I'm more positive, I'm a better wife, mother, like just boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. I said, help me understand something. Take me back to the moment right before you said yes to your business, that season of your life that you were in. I said, what was the problem that you were struggling with? Why did you decide to do this? She went on to share this story with me. Now, I have 2 young boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. So this story that she shared with me, it really hit home with me. And so what she went on to tell me was, she said, well, I had a career before I had children, and I gave that up to be a mom. And I was happy to do that. And she said, my kids were getting older, and I was at a place in my life. They were 7 and 8. She said, I don't know any other way to say it, but I was very unhappy. And she said, I was unhappy because I felt like my entire identity was just wrapped up in being a mom. And it was like a piece of me was missing. I was starting to feel this pull, like there was something else out there. And she said, I felt guilty, but I was struggling with this thing. And she said, I told myself it was happening in private. And she said, until this happened. She was making lunch for the kids one day. They were sitting at the table eating breakfast. Her 7-year-old daughter says to her in the middle of her making lunch, she says, Mommy, what's wrong? Now she's like, she startled me. She's like, well, nothing's wrong, sweetheart. Why do you ask? And her 7-year-old daughter said to her, because your face looks really sad. And I'm watching her, she's on a Zoom with me, and I can see her, like, she's emotionally back in that moment. And she looks up to me and she says, Bob, that was the moment that I decided something was going to change. She said it became bigger than just me in that moment. And she said that, you know, she didn't know about her business at the time, but that was the tipping point. And so I was like, wow, I'm like riveted. And I'm like, well, Lisa, help me understand how you're a better mom today. She goes, well, first off, I'm just setting a better example for my daughter. I'm showing her that she can set goals and that she can achieve them, and that she can grow and be something that she isn't today. And I said, well, I said, Lisa, how does that make you feel? She thought about it for a second, and she says, proud. And I said, I bet. And then I asked her a really important question. I said, Lisa, how often do you feel proud when you are sharing your business with people? She said, never. I said, that's your problem. I said, Lisa, your problem is you don't understand what you really have to offer someone in your business. See, Lisa made the same mistake that we all do. Our confidence and our sense of self-worth in our business is tied to our results. It is tied to the rank we hold, to the size team we have, to the amount of followers we have on social media, because this is what the world tells us is success. And I will just say this: as long as your definition of success is tied to some sort of result or achievement, it is a formula that will fail you 10 out of 10 times. Your confidence and your sense of self-worth has to be rooted in something more important. And so she said, okay, Bob, this sounds great. She said, here's my problem. I don't know where to find this person. Right. And I bet there's a lot of people on here that have struggled with this in the past. Like I hear it all the time from our clients. I just know where to find my prospect, that person, right? We think we're led to believe that there's this magical person out there that just one day they're just going to find their way into our DMs because of something that we put out there with credit card in hand and say, sign me up. And you're just going to latch on and just ride off to the side. That's not how it works. Lisa goes, well, where do I find this person? And here's what I said to her: go look in the mirror. Go look in the mirror. And I'll say this to any one of you that's watching this right now: you are your ideal prospect. Now, not the version of you today, the version of you just like Lisa right before you started. See, every single one of you has a unique story related to your products and to your business. There was a problem. There was something that you were struggling with in your life. There was something that was missing. Maybe you were a stay-at-home mother like Lisa that desired something outside of the home. Maybe you were working in a job or career that was leaving you unfulfilled and feeling burned out. Maybe you were just somebody that just reached a point where you were just fed up with the way you felt and you wanted to get healthier. There was something that led you to starting this journey. See, here's what you do in your content. You start creating content with the intention of helping the person that you used to be. What are they thinking, feeling, interested? What are the things that you wish you would have known? That's how you make a connection. There has to be a specific person. And when you realize it's you, here's what happens: you start to understand the things that you have to offer this person have nothing to do with money, nothing to do with rank. I'm going to tell you the biggest mistake that people make in this profession is they lead with selling the dream to people. Freedom, big money, this, that. And look, I did it for years. And I never understood why I had such a hard time relating to people. I never understood why people would always say to me, well, I don't have the time. I can't do that. I'm not a salesperson. I don't this. The reason why is because I hadn't built trust with them. I just wanted to sell them the dream, but here's what I didn't understand. You can't sell the dream to somebody that still feels like they're living in a nightmare. You connect with them around their problems. That's where you build trust. And that's where all of the value creation begins. And then once we build trust, once we've connected with them, once they say, man, this person gets me, they understand me. And here's the beauty of content is you can do that at scale. A piece of content is just a sales conversation out loud. But this is going to require something that a lot of you are going to be afraid of. It's going to require you to actually bring more of yourself into your content. And some of you are afraid of that. So look, I'm going to just call it like it is. Some of you are hiding behind your products. If I go look at your social media, all it is your product and company, and you're hiding behind those things. Look, your product and your company, no matter how amazing it is, it will never make you stand out the way that you want to. Because in the eyes of your consumer, the person that's connected to you, I get it. You think your thing is the best, but to them, you saying that means nothing. Because company product information at the beginning of a sales cycle has little to no value. It's not that it's not valuable, but when we lead with it, we never, ever are going to be different. So you got to bring more of yourself into your content. And this comes back to this idea. Because sometimes I'll teach this and people will struggle with the idea. I just had God bless her. I had this lady, she was 71 years old. She's one of our clients, and I'm teaching this to her. And she says, Bob, I'm hearing what you're saying to me. but I just really struggle with that. I'm 71 years old. I don't think there's a lot of other women out there that are like me. Most of them are just kind of sailing off into the sunset. And I said, hold on a second. I said, what if I told you that you're not looking for most people? See, this is the problem that people have on social media. They try to sell to everybody. They think they're for everybody. And what winds up happening is you wind up being nothing for no one. And I said to this lady, I said, listen, you're not looking for everyone. The fact that you exist tells me there are a lot of other women out there just like you. And you want to know what? I don't see enough of those kind of women showing up and helping. And what I said to her, and I said this just from a place of love, really wanting to help her. And I'll say this to any of you that struggle with this idea. You know, Bob, I don't know if I'm that person. I haven't created success. Well, here's the truth of the matter. As long as you think you're not the person you're looking for, you will never be successful in your business. You'll never be successful. Because what are you telling me? You're telling me that you don't think that you're good enough or that you have value. And how can you sell something that you don't believe has value? And how can you expect someone else to trust you enough to join your team, to follow your leadership if you don't trust yourself? This is the reason why we say the number one and the first and the most important sale you ever make in your business is selling yourself on yourself. So I talked about two types of content so far: product and problem. Let's start focusing on creating more content focused just on solving problems and connecting with people. And let's start selling less in our product content. Let's start including calls to action to start conversations, and let's focus more selling there. I want to share with you the third type of content. This is the most powerful. It is also it's the one I see the least because people really are afraid of doing this. It's what we call connection content. So connection content is made up of three things: mission, vision, and values. Mission, vision, values. The fastest way, it's not even a close second. The fastest way to build trust with people is connection content. When you are willing to share a mission that you have for your business. Now, here's the thing: not your company's mission, not your company's vision, right? Your mission, your vision, your values. So when we talk about mission, what does that mean? Well, it's the understanding that the business that you think you're in is not actually the business that you're in. You are not in the health and wellness business. You are in the transformation business. You are in the business of helping people transform their lives in a personal way. Your products are just the vehicle that give you the opportunity to form a relationship with somebody and make a difference. You know, there's a really interesting conversation around this. This is a whole other training for a whole other time, but I want to say this right now because this is important. So many people, because yours is a customer focused company. So I want to teach this right now because I think this will be impactful for you. So many people, when they look at how they service their customers, they feel like they're adding value because we're doing customer service. We're, how's the product? How was the order? Any questions? Here's the new stuff, right? That's customer service, right? You service products, you serve people. You service products, you serve people. Here's the truth of the matter: there is little to no value in customer service. Customer service is the minimum expectation. Like if I buy from a company that, like, if I have a question, won't answer the phone or respond to me, I will never do business with that company ever again. Like if you're not at least providing customer service, you don't have a business. But you have to go beyond that. See, I would argue this year, 2023, if all you're doing is customer service, your business is going to be in trouble. Here's the reason why. I read a lot of this research that's out there. The Harvard Business Review published an article, study on consumer behavior, that they found was the number one thing that people are demanding is maximum value from every purchase and every interaction with a business. They want value. You know, a lot of people are afraid because they're like, people aren't spending money. That's not true. People are spending money. People are spending money. You want proof? Go to Apple any day of the week. I live very close to the King of Prussia Mall. It is 8:30 on Thursday night. I could drive to the mall and there will be people waiting in line outside of Louis Vuitton to buy a $3,000 purse. People are spending money, but they are being discerning and they have higher expectations around the experience of where they purchase from. Louis Vuitton and Apple is an experience when you go into that store. See, you have to ask yourself, are you creating good, great customer experiences? You serve people. What if somebody buying your product, and what if every single interaction you had with them was a chance for you to connect with them around problems, even if it means beyond your product? See, when you have a mission, it transcends the transaction. It's bigger than just what I have to sell. You want to try to help people any way that you can. You are willing to challenge people. When's the last time you shared your mission, vision, and values with a customer? When's the last time you said to a customer, it's important that you understand the reason why I do business and what's important to me? Here's what else the Harvard Business Review said. People also want to know the company's purpose. And what they said is, if you are a business that can clearly communicate your purpose to consumers, you will stand out and you will win. This is the reason why every time I do a training, before I teach a single word, I will talk about love, serve, grow. I will always lead with values, because values are the fastest way to build trust. But most people, when I see their content, they don't talk about this stuff. Now, I'm not saying that you have to create a piece of content saying, here's my values, here's my vision, here's my mission. This is woven into everything you do. Product, problem. Every single time you post video, ask yourself, can I mention my mission, vision, and values? How can I bring this back into this? So we always tie everything back to love, serve, and grow. Now, for me, I'll share a quick story with you that I hope and I think will encourage some of you in this area. So in my personal life, when it comes to my personal content outside of the company, my values are faith, family, and freedom. I value money and I value financial success, but I value those other three things far more. And it took me a long time to understand that about myself, but I realized it. And so for a very long time in my business, doing what I do, being a an expert or whatever you want to call us, um, I reached a point. It was 2018 where I felt I was burned out. I was doing it for 2 years. I was going live every day, courses, webinars, like doing everything I could to just try to make a buck. And we were very financially successful. We had our business grew very quickly, but I felt so unfulfilled by it. I was just going through the motions. And I remember at the end of 2018, I did some soul searching and I started to really ask myself why. And what I realized was this, is that my business was so out of alignment with my values, that the things that I were doing and the things that I were teaching were really designed to just help me make money and make sales. And that a lot of the things that I was teaching, I was just teaching other things that other people were teaching, but it wasn't really the thing that I was about. And so the big missing piece for me was my faith. My faith was not present in anything that I did. And we would talk about love and serve, and people would kind of be like, but it was like, it felt like there was like a missing piece for me. And I remember I made a decision. I said, okay, from this point forward, that's going to change. And it was like, I was so afraid to do this because I had an early mentor of mine that told me one thing. He said, Bob, there's two things you don't talk about in business: religion and politics. You never talk about religion and politics. Because he told me, he said, if you do, 50% of the people you're going to turn off. So I heard that and I was coachable. What I thought that meant was that I had to become this person in my business to be successful. That wasn't really who I was in my life. And I never understood that that was a big source of a lot of my self-sabotage, because I felt like I was sacrificing the things that were important to me. But then here I was portraying this public image, even more afraid of it because I couldn't control what people were thinking and feeling and saying about me. But I was just like, I remember getting to a point where I'm like, I am no longer going to trade my authenticity for the approval of other people that don't matter in my life. And so I picked the video. I was so afraid. The whole time I'm doing the video, I'm like in my head, I'm just like, all right, how am I going to say it? How am I going to say it? How am I going to say it? At the very end, I was just like, and I'm just so happy that God has blessed me I mean, it was like 2 seconds. I shut off the video. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, I did it. I can't believe it. I'm like, all right, that's it. The business is over. Everybody's going to unfollow me. We're going to have any more customers anymore. And that's not what happened. Here's what did happen. There were 3 groups of people. The majority of people essentially said this to me. They said, yeah, we don't really care. We still love you. Everything you do is great. Doesn't change anything. There was a section of people that reached out to me and they were like, thank you so much. They were like, thank you for being bold with your faith. Now, meanwhile, I'm like, you consider that being bold with my faith? I'm like, I barely even got it into the video. But what they appreciated was that I was willing to share my values. And that increased the trust. And I'm telling you, our community became so much more engaged. It grew so much more quickly when we were clear what we stood for. But then there was a very small percentage of people. And there was one woman in particular. And I still remember her name. I will not say her name, but she was a follower for a while. She was not happy. She must have had the same mentor as me growing up. And she basically messaged me saying, that was really awkward and I didn't appreciate it. What about other people that follow you that don't hold your same beliefs? What are you going to do? Basically, like threw it on me. And I'm like, okay, let me collect myself. And listen, I understood her point of view. And I said, look, I respect your point of view. I understand it. I said, but the question isn't what am I going to do about it? The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because I am no longer going to trade who I am and sacrifice that at the altar of success. And what's interesting is the moment I decided to not do that anymore, our business became so much more successful. But I felt so much more fulfilled by it because I didn't feel like I had to wear this mask. Like, this is who I was. And listen, I share my faith. I talk about God. And if you don't like that, that's fine. I don't care. Just don't watch my videos. Don't join our programs. It's nothing. It is what it is. And so I share that with you only because I want to give you the courage to share more of who you are with the world. It's not selfish to share your story with people. Vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is a tool to help you connect with others and build trust. Your story is actually not for you. Your story is to impact other people. And if you understand it through the context of that, your story is for that version of who you were before you started, to inspire that person. So if you can start doing more of those things this year, I'm telling you, your business is going to explode. You are going to find a level of fulfillment that you've never dreamed. And 2023 is going to be your best year ever. I truly believe that. So, Steph, I'll kick it back over to you.
Okay. Wow. Right? Mind blow. Like, so good. How many amens can we get? So good. So good. Okay. And I was just at a church, through my church, they have a summit, a business summit that they did today, and they had Coke consolidate. Oh my God. This is how brain Coke what is their name? Coke Consolidated. I think that's what. Yeah. So it's the main company of Coke. I had no idea they have transitioned through the last 2 decades to a faith-based company. And I had heard all this time that you are not to bring your faith and politics into the workspace. And of course, politics. We can understand why. But faith, actually, Title VII, we have the right to bring our faith, our religion into the workspace. So it just totally goes in line with all of this. And their whole mission is servant leadership. And that is that's where we're at. And as a company, that's why when I heard you, Bob, I'm like, you, the way you present this just grew my confidence went from I'm a Lisa. Like I took myself back to where I was before I came into contact with Singular. And all of a sudden my content just started to flow. I was like, this is fun. I get to be me. I'm no longer having to hide behind who I am. And that's all about what you just preached. And I know everybody, if you have a question, do you have like
Yeah,
4 minutes?
we can take a question. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
If
Yep.
anybody has any questions, but centered around that, Bob, I this made this little sheet. And if y'all want this, this will help you build your story.
Mm,
And it's where I like from eh, dumbed it down for myself. I needed it
yeah,
down my story for myself. I needed to
yeah,
rip it apart and remember because 12 years, like you said, we're selling to who we are now.
yeah.
Remember who were
So can I give a piece of advice around story?
yes.
Um,
Please.
this is the single greatest advice that I was ever given in terms of sharing your story with people, whether it's on social media or at a meeting or wherever. Start in the middle. Start in the middle. So what does that mean? I How many times have you told a story or you've heard somebody tell a story where they start out recounting all of these details of their life that led them up to the point of joining their business or whatever that might be? That stuff is irrelevant to your audience. What your audience wants to know is they want to know what was the beginning of your journey. What was the reason why? So when we think about that problem, I was a stay-at-home mother and I was struggling with that. Your story is actually really focused on your viewer. So we think about what was the thing I was struggling with? What was I thinking and feeling in that moment? And what were the things that I had to learn to help me take those first couple of steps? So we're sharing the lessons we've learned and the things that have happened to us, but we share the problems and the challenges before we share the wins and the successes. A lot of people think to be credible, they have to say, I've accomplished this, this, and this. People don't buy your success until they buy your failure. So we lead with that first. And so when you're crafting your story, just think about it. Is this really relevant to the person that I'm telling the story to?
Got it. That is so good. So the middle.
Yeah.
So this, what my goal of it was, okay, so rip out where was I mentally, physically, and emotionally? Like where was I
Yeah.
back
That's exactly what you want to do. Yep.
right? And then where was I financially and
Yep.
situationally? And
Yep.
I have two columns for that. And you can literally rip out everything, right? And
Yeah.
then since partnering with our brand Singular, what's
Yep.
happened for me. But then literally you can take content from like just a piece of it. Like I was
Yeah.
in an office and sometimes driving 120 miles a day, eating from my steering wheel
Yep.
and working 12-hour days to now at home with my kids by my side, working
Yeah.
from Wi-Fi. Like,
Go. Can I share one more
so
story?
how would I share that?
Yeah.
Like,
So I want to share one more story here.
yes.
So I have another client of mine. Her name is Shannon, and Shannon is extremely successful in her company. She's been doing it for 15 years. She's a seven-figure earner. She's just built an incredible business. And so she comes to me on a coaching call and she says to me, which was a really weird thing for me to hear her say. She says, "Bob, I can't recruit people anymore." And I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me more about that." She goes, "Well, every time I try to share my business with people, they always tell me the same thing. I can't do that. I'm not you. I don't have the time." And I said, "Well, what do you say to them?" And she said, "I just share how the business has changed my life," right? Which feels like a totally appropriate thing to do about, travel and this and that. And so I ask her the question. I always take people back to help me understand where you were when you first started. And so she shares with me this story of a $56 check. She said, I'd gone through a really bad divorce. I was at one of my lowest points. I was at home with my 3 children. I needed to find a way to make money. My friend had kept badgering me about joining her company and selling these products. And she's like, I reached a point where I figured, what do I have to lose? She said, I shared them with a couple of people. I didn't even think about it. A couple of weeks later, I go to the mailbox and there's an envelope in the mail from this company. I open it up. It's a check, $56 check. And she says to me, she says, now, Bob, to you, that probably doesn't seem like a lot. And most people, if they heard that, they'd probably be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But what you wouldn't understand and what they understand is that $56 check changed my life. She said, because what it did, the thing that it gave me that was so lacking at my life in that time was hope. She said it gave me hope and just enough courage to try to do it again. Now, this is a very successful woman telling me this story, and I'm like blown away by it. And I say to her, I go, Shannon, I said, when's the last time you told that story? And this look of embarrassment kind of comes over her. She says, I don't think I've thought about that story in the last 10 years. And I'm just like, that's your problem. See, your problem is you're trying to sell the dream to people before meeting them where they are. You connect with them around their problems. I said, if your friend would have came to you saying what you say to people, you would have said the same thing to your friend. I said, we've got to understand what people are really looking for. It's not that we don't want to sell the dream, and it's not that we don't want to challenge people to think bigger, but we can't lead with that, or you're going to lose people right out of the gate. It takes time to move them to that point. And so when we're thinking about our story, I love what you're saying, Stephanie, like really think about, what was I thinking? What was I feeling? We like to say, enter the conversation that's already happening in their mind. Don't give me the industry speak. We're so conditioned to use words and language. What were you thinking and feeling and saying to yourself? Say those things in your content and conversations. And then when we think of what are they really looking for, there's a problem and there's a solution. So if you were like if using the example before, if you're a stay-at-home mother and you're looking to find some sort of work because you feel like you're missing a sense of purpose, the solution that you're looking for is some sort of work, a flexible career that will allow you to earn a living but still be a present mother. That's what you're looking for. The solution has to be very connected to the problem. See, we teach people how to create something called an I help statement. And so the I help statement is essentially the way that you take everything that I'm teaching you and you boil it down into this 30-word or less sentence that if you ever have somebody ask you, what do you do? Man, you've never given an answer in your life that feels better than this. I mean, it's the type of thing like, you're like, go ahead, ask me what I do. Because I'm going to give you an answer that if you're even remotely a prospect of mine, you're going to be like, oh my God, I need to learn more. And so, we teach people this. And so real quick, Steph, just as a follow up to this discussion, anybody that's on here, because I know we have a lot of people for the first time that we're meeting, if this resonated with you and you're looking to learn more about this type of stuff, please let's make sure we connect on Instagram. I am going live every single morning on Instagram at 9 a.m. Eastern. I decided in the beginning of the year to really step up the way that we serve our community in this profession because I truly believe that this is going to be the year for so many people. But I also believe that they need to make a major shift in order for that to happen. And I think that what we're teaching can help people. So I go live every morning, no selling, just helping, stories, training, and we do lots of teaching on this type of stuff. So I'd love to connect with some of the people there.
Yes. Okay, y'all, 9 central, or I'm sorry, 9 Eastern time on Instagram. And if
Yep.
you go like Bob Heilig, Heilig, go like his official page.
Yeah, just search for my name, or you can search your virtual upline as well. And if you can't watch in the morning, we put all of the replays on the page as well, so you can watch them anytime you want. So
Awesome. Awesome. There are like a couple questions. So someone asked, is it okay to say singular on our timeline?
Yeah, you can say, listen, product, it's fine to share about your product, just don't sell. Don't say, now's the time to buy, join my team. If you do that, you are going to limit your ability to get engagement and to grow your teams. Now, the only exception to the rule is this: stories. If you're on Instagram, stories, you have a little bit more leeway. So, yeah, I'm not going to tell you don't say the name of your company. I'm just going to tell you don't make the pitch in the content or the video. Have the call to action be, hey, let's continue the conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you like. And in the conversations, that's where you sell. Look, I want you to sell more than you've ever sold. I just want you to change the way you sell. This is what is going to be required this year if you really want to win.
And I am like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Like, do you love going on a page that's plastered, whatever the company is? Like, I'm like, next. I'm just like that. Do we keep it a secret? No. But so is that more just, it's okay, don't hide
Yeah,
it?
I think keeping it a secret is like advice from 4 years ago. Like, let's be honest, we're running a business and it's okay to talk about what you do. The problem isn't sharing what you do. The problem is when every time you share what you do, it comes with a hard sales pitch. That's the problem. The sales pitch is the problem. There's a way for you to share what you do in a way that actually can create some value for people that don't just want to buy from you. It's when it's the constant selling in the content that's what turns people off, and that's what makes them stop paying attention. It's not the posting of your stuff. Although I do want you to have that only be a small portion of what you do. You need to really challenge yourself to create more content that doesn't talk just about your stuff. But I don't have an issue with that.
Okay. The other question is, do we need a business page or run our business on our personal page? Angie, I don't know if you're talking about Facebook or.
Yeah, she's talking about Facebook. Business pages are a waste. Don't do business page. It's a waste. If you're asking the question, it means that you don't have a business page. So the answer 10 out of 10 times is do not start a business page. It'll be a waste of your time. So yeah.
Okay. And someone did say, last question, my stuff is too bad to share. What did they say here?
So they're probably just talking about like they've got a lot of personal stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You share what you feel comfortable sharing. But the thing is this, you start in the middle, right? People don't, we don't want, we don't, look, it sounds a little bit kind of mean, but this is human psychology. People don't care about you. They care about what you can do for them. Your story is not for you. This is just how most people are when they're looking at businesses and companies. They want to know, what can you do for me? And if doing for me, it means helping me. If I don't know you, I should pre-qualify and say that. If we're building a relationship, if we're just starting to build a relationship, people just want to know what you can do for me. And then that's the place where trust gets built. And then that's where the relationship grows. So share what you feel comfortable sharing, but understand I'm not telling you to share your problems, like show up on social media and say, listen to all the bad things that have happened to me in my life. You focus on the lessons that you've learned. I dealt with this, but here's what I've learned, or I'm dealing with this. Here's what I'm learning. If you focus on the lessons, then it doesn't come across like you're just complaining, because it's more focused on how you can serve and how you can help other people. So,
Got it. Okay. A lot of people about the business page, they're like, if we have one, should we just drop it?
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are mixed feelings about that, but
I know. Because then everybody will say, but Facebook says you can't build a business on Facebook. That is such BS, by the way. Millions of people build their business on their personal profile. Facebook is not watching you to see if you're posting on your personal profile. Here's the only reason why I'll say, if you have a business page and it's working for you, meaning that you consistently make sales and get recruits from that business page, then don't stop it. I'm not telling you to stop something that doesn't work. What I'm telling is 99 out of 100 people that ask me that question, they have a business page with 8 followers and they're posting on there and nothing is happening. And it is a complete waste of time. So your personal page can never be maxed, Terry, because you can have followers. You can have 1 million followers. You can only have so many friends. So you can't max your personal page out. I have 2,000 friends. I have 35,000 followers. So you can't max your personal page out. It doesn't happen. It's impossible. You do the same video on a personal page and on your business page, you will get 1/20th of the amount of viewers on a business page that you will a personal page. So don't waste your time.
There we go.
Yep.
There we go. I think that takes
I'll say one more thing and then I do have to go. You want to
Okay.
know why people do business pages? I'm just going to say it like it is because they're afraid to do it on their personal profile. They're afraid of the people they know, their opinions, or they feel like they've tapped it out, which is such a transactional thing to think. Like, I've already talked, like, you understand how transactional that is? I've already talked to everybody that I know. Okay, good. Go talk to them again. If the only reason why you talk to them is to get a sale, I get it. But if you really, you tell me you want to help and you want to serve, but then you tell me you've already talked to everybody you know, how does that make sense? When do you stop wanting to help people? Never. Just because they said no to you doesn't mean you shouldn't stop want to help them. So these are the reasons why we don't do this. And, I just think sometimes we need to say that so people can start thinking differently.